Hello. Thanks for joining us all and hopping in our spaces today. And Patricia, nice to see you. Syra, I hope I'm saying that correctly. Duke, Sula or Sule, Seawall.
Yeah, you pronounce the names.
This is and the person behind the OK Atheist is actually Zaylen. Maybe at some point I'm gonna have to have two phones, and that gets a little expensive for now. So until then,
I was just gonna say, hey, anybody want to buy me a phone? No,
yeah, right.
that stuff will come with time. We've been talking about that.
Yes, so I'm glad you all could join us. And today we should have a featured speaker today. And Dale, would you mind pronouncing his proper name for me?
Yeah,
Because
his
I had
name
a
is
tough time with
spelled,
the name.
yeah, of course, Gulzar, and it's Gulzar. Like almost, I would say,
Gulzar.
yeah, I would say. I mean, if you say Gulzar or Gulzar, either way, you're gonna be fine. But it's almost like a long, like ghoul, like a ghoul, like a ghost, Gulzar.
Yeah, I do like to ask.
Yeah, me too. Well, he'll introduce himself as well, but that's another thing, with this, not just this quote unquote community, but because we are so global. If you don't know a language at all or the accents, it's tough to know what someone's name should sound like. Everybody from America knows how to say, Joe or
Yes,
the
and we've had quite a mixed crowd. I mean, just every week you never know who's going to pop in
My
here. It's
my
been quite
friend who
amazing.
just hopped in, who is from the ex-Muslim community, and this is a perfect example. He's under the name of Danish Gerd, and I called him Danish for like a month. So that's like a perfect example of it because it's Danish, because I didn't know. I saw the picture, and the picture is one of the all-time great humans. And if you don't know who that is under Danish's name, that is, well, I'm prefacing it like I'm worshiping. That is the great Charles Darwin. But when I saw that picture and the name, I went, oh, Danish. It's somebody who's Danish and likes Charles Darwin. That's what I thought at first. But it's Danish, and I learned.
Yeah, mea culpa over there, Danish. I think I've been saying that for like a month now, so
As
apologize.
as long as you don't call him D'Souza, I think we're fine.
For those that are just joining, we usually have this space. Typically, we'll have one featured speaker, sometimes we'll have a few. Eventually, Dale and I are going to just do an AMA between the two of us, and you guys can ask us whatever you want. And we're really interested in hearing stories and of your journey, your background, and whatnot. It's not necessarily a debate space, but just a chance to learn more about our secular community. So it's a great opportunity to kind of just learn about people from all around the world, actually.
And if I can give a quick preface, wonderful human being. I know it's okay to say that in most cases, but I'm not supposed to be the nice guy. Um, he is a wonderful human being, genuinely cares about this stuff, so that's why he does this activism type stuff. Now he'll tell you, all about that. But I met him on Twitter just a couple months ago, and he'd heard some of the things I was saying, speaking up about, anti-Islamic stuff. And when I say anti-Islamic, I want to be very clear that there's a huge difference between anti-Muslim and anti-Islam. Islam is a religion. So it's one of those things that I think he noticed in me, and Dinesh earlier had, and I thank him for giving me a lot of credit and support. But it's very difficult for a lot of people from the Western world, especially those who look like myself, Caucasian, to speak up when it comes to issues that are part of the Islamic and the Muslim world. I know that. I understand why people are hesitant too. Of course I do. I mean, we saw what happened just a month ago, right, to Salman Rushdie. It's amazing that he lasted that long without that happening and that he's still alive. But there are people all the time who get their heads cut off. I mean, we'll go into that later, but literally for, leaving their religion, just for becoming an apostate. And my name, Infidel, is that for a reason. If anybody doesn't know, it's a play on the word infidel, which in Islam is anyone who is a non-Muslim person, an apostate, somebody who leaves their religion. They would consider me an infidel. So I proudly label myself infidel when it comes to that. I want it not hidden at all. But it's very difficult to get people, even, not just to speak up, but who are even knowledgeable. Because I say our, I'm talking about America at least. You know, the media that we see tends to play a little soft on that stuff. And a lot of, and I'll say this, you know, being somebody who considers themselves very progressive, there's a lot of stuff that comes from the left in America that is trying so hard to stay away from looking like they're Islamophobes. You know, they don't want to touch, you know, we're anti-Islam. So they err so far on the other side that these people don't get any help. I mean, like I say this with like my voice just started cracking because I felt like horrible saying it, but like they're trying to do good when they're doing that. They don't want to hurt people, but by doing that, people are not properly informed, and then they're not able to have these conversations. So I really thank people like Dinesh and our guest Gulzar, who will be coming on later, for uh, making me a little tiny little part of that. But he had me on his podcast on his YouTube channel, and we've kind of developed a bond, and we are both kind of helping each other out with just bridging the gap between people who are in and not in the know when it comes to these things, because religion is a huge encompassing word. It means a lot of things, but Islam and Christianity, which are the two major issues that most of us deal with on a daily basis, are both part of the Abrahamic religions. So to just dismiss one because it's not part of our daily lives is something I think a lot of us need to work on more, even if it's just being informed, so we can help inform others.
Right, Dale. And I think that's why I value tonight's talk so much, because I am one of those that doesn't know enough about Islam and some of the current issues. So I really do appreciate you reaching out to your friend who's just been so gracious that will come here and present some viewpoints. So
Zaylen and I have been, communicating on a regular basis, and she called me to tell me that we had. She said, "Hey, we have an administrator," and I'm like, oh, "I've never had an administrator. I don't even know what that means. Can we get one named Brett?" And she said, "Well, no, his name is," and told me what his name was. And I went, "No, no, no. If he's my administrator, don't I get to call him? Like, can I label them whatever I want?" I didn't know what an administrator was.
yeah, Dale was like, "Oh, can you bring me coffee?" And
You said we have an administrator, and all I could think of is like, oh, cool, somebody's going to be taking care of me and doing things. I
of
don't know.
course.
I just feel like I should be able to label them whatever I choose, but this world is not what I thought it was. So anyway, I met Gulzar here. It's only been a month or a little more. But we kind of hit it off, like I mentioned earlier, just wanting the same things, having very similar interests, having a desire to help people. I'm going to let him do most of the speaking, but it's really important to me that he gets to speak to you, because, like I said, we focus so much sometimes, the Western world, on Christianity being an issue, because in America and a lot of the West, it is the main issue. But in the world, that's not the case. And I just think it's important that we all listen to, other people who are willing to reach across the aisle, metaphorically, and kind of just, explain this is what it's like in our shoes. So Gulzar is the perfect person for that. And Gulzar, feel free to introduce yourself, and I guess just start off by telling us who you are, how you got here, what made you go from, like we said, from how you were raised or being part of the Islamic community to an extent, to being an activist who's pretty much, I don't think I'm mincing words here, against it now.
All right, thank you. First of all, I really appreciate, because to me that is very important space, because you are now getting aware about other religion problem also. So that is very good to bridge the gap between two different continents, I would say, or different cultures. But religion is a major problem in every country, so we have to take every religion with the same kind of problem, that you don't know when benign can be a cancer. So any religion can be brutal. We do know in the history. So first of all, I would like to introduce myself. I am Gulzar. I have a channel and I am on the space. I don't consider myself activist, because I feel that to be activist, you have to sacrifice a lot. But to me, I haven't sacrificed too much as compared to other ex-Muslims who have to sacrifice in terms of punishment through the family, through the states. But at least we can speak. So I would do the same thing, that at least I can pass the messages to you so you can understand the problems at East side or Islamic countryside or Islam side, because you are more aware about, of course, Christianity, but I'm gonna give you some information about Islam. So I'm gonna give you a disclaimer. I know this space is being recorded, so I have to give disclaimer that whatever we talk, we are not against any community. All communities are very good for us, equal in human rights. So we always question the ideology. We don't question the community. Number one, disclaimer. Number two, that since we are living in secular country, we do understand the values of secular. So everybody has right to follow the faith. So we have no problem with people's faith. But the problem is violence. That's we're gonna discuss. Also, we have a problem about oppression in the name of religion. So Muslims are brothers. Okay, we don't have any problem with them. They can come and live happily. We have no problem. I'm also one of the immigrants, so I have no problem. So we are not against any kind of nation, community. So we are against religion. So we're gonna discuss about this. So I'm gonna tell you something about me, that I migrated from Pakistan to USA almost a decade ago. And in Pakistan, if you leave religion, you by state, you can be executed. So in Pakistan, it's a kind of environment that you can't talk much about religion. If you leave Islam, you will be under closet atheist. So that was same kind of situation with me. So here is a situation better than Pakistan. And also in Pakistan, there is a girl who is only 26 years old, and she just sent the WhatsApp message about religion, prophet, and she is in jail now just for sending blasphemous message through WhatsApp. And in 2000 last year, she was given death punishment. She was in jail, so she's only
You,
26.
I just want to clear that up for anybody who didn't hear. You said that
Yes,
was for sending blasphemous messages on WhatsApp,
yes, through.
so to a friend.
Yes, and the friend complained to the police because of their personal grudges, whatever. And she is in jail. That became a international news. So look at the environment in Islamic countries, that even you just send the message about religion and you can be in jail and waiting for your death. So look at the, and also I'm going to tell you that there are 5 countries: Afghanistan, Iran, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia. Blasphemy is punishable by execution. If you curse prophet, you can lose your life. So that is very important, that we need to understand the gravity and the problems emerging from this religion, not from people, but from the religion. So I'm going to tell you more things, and then we will open the question session. I will. So first of all, look at the mindset. What is the mindset? In Islamic countries, religion has used the tool as a blasphemy in Islamic countries. But what happens when mullah or clergy comes to Western countries? They cannot use the tool of blasphemy because it's a secular
I, I,
country. Yes,
I also want to just add to, just in case people don't know, when you say a mullah, can you tell people what you mean?
mullah is like a
Religious leaders?
pastor.
Yeah.
Is like a pastor in church. Clergy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So I'm gonna give you some insights which you might not be aware. Like, so you live in the West. So what happens when in Islamic countries, because they most of countries have dictatorship, so they use the blasphemy law as a tool for Islam. But when they come to West, they cannot use the law, tool of the blasphemy. So they use the Islamophobia. So in secular countries, they coined the word Islamophobia. So we need to understand that phobia is irrational fear, but Islam is a real fear, which I'm going to show you. And second thing, that Islamic countries, people want Sharia, but in Western countries, they want more secularism. So what happens when they want more secularism? They can stop ex-Muslims to question Islam, because they use freedom of speech as their strength. They say that, okay, we have freedom of speech, you are doing what kind of you're doing Islamophobia. So you're using the wrong, you're misusing this free speech. So that's why the governments do not understand what Islamophobia. Islamophobia is the wrong word used by clergy living in the West. Third problem, that in Islamic countries, other religions are not free to preach. For example, in Pakistan, Ahmadi, there is a sect which like a Protestant sect. Like in Islam, there is a sect which is called Ahmadi. They cannot preach. They cannot call themselves Muslim. The worst part I'm going to share with you, that in Pakistan in 1974, the state passed the law against one community that they are no more Muslim. So the prosecution, the involvement of the state is too much into religion, which we don't see in America. Like a state doesn't get involved in religions, but in Pakistan, that Ahmadi, there is a group of Ahmadi. They have different kind of religious faith, so they cannot call themselves Muslim. If they call themselves Muslim, they can go to jail for 3 years just calling themselves Muslim, because the state doesn't consider them to be Muslim. So another problem. Yes.
I just want to add in, we
Yeah,
talk
you can
about a
stop
lot
me
of.
in Fidel anytime, okay? Because
Oh
I
yeah,
might use some different words.
yeah, no, of course. But I just wanted to say with this, that we talk about in the Western world, with all the problems that we have, with not being able to use, or not problems we have, but we have problems with other people not wanting to address people properly. How about not being able to label yourself the religion that you believe you are? How rough is that? Like, to me, because I always argue, if somebody says I'm a Christian, I don't care what my definition of Christian is, then they can consider themselves a Christian. Or, like you said, like if they consider themselves Muslim, imagine going to jail for considering yourself a religion that someone else is, but they don't think you're the proper, you practice it the proper way.
And another thing which we need help from you, that it is better to use the word Mu'min rather than Muslim. I am gonna tell you why. Because Muslim is the word that some Muslims are good, some Muslims are bad. So we cannot consider every Muslim as a bad person. So that's why we avoid using the word against any community. Rather we use the word Momin. Momin means a kind of extremist, jihad. Like we use the word jihadi. So in my space, I will not use the Muslim, because Muslims are good people. So we're not against any community, but we're gonna discuss religion. For example, we need to be awake about what's going on in Western countries. For example, you see in France, a teacher was murdered in the name of religion. You see Salman Rushdie, which was attacked in the name of Islam. So we need to understand that Islam is different from Muslims. Muslims can be good, but Islam cannot be good. That's a main motto, to avoid any kind of Islamophobia term, because they have cleverly used the word Islamophobia, which we are careful. Now, when I stress Muslims are good, Islam is not good, I'm gonna prove it to you now. Sanan Abne Nisai. It's a hadith. Okay, you do understand what is. You may ask me
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't you explain what hadith is, what that means?
Yes. Okay. So Islam is based on Quran, that moments. Now, when I'm gonna use moment, you can consider I mean Muslims. Okay. So moments consider that Quran is the word of God, but Quran is so much incomplete book that they brought hadith. Hadith is the narration said by Prophet. So Quran was written at the time of Prophet Muhammad, and Hadith is the quotations of Prophet, which was written after 200 years. So that is illogical that you can remember someone's wording after 200 years. So this,
Sounds like another part of the Abrahamic religions.
yes. So when I say hadith, there are 6 hadith books. Okay, they were written, and Muslims believe in those hadith after Quran. So after Quran, hadith is the second important source for Islam. There is one hadith, Sunan Abne Nisai, hadith number 4059. So again, hadith is the word of Prophet. So I'm going to share some information just for Westerns, that they need to know what Islam thinks about other peoples. So Sunan Abne Nisai 4059, Ibn Abbas is the narrator who was with Prophet. Okay, he said, the Prophet Muhammad said, whoever change religion, kill him. So that word is coming from the Prophet, who is like worshipped by most of
You're interpreting it
moments.
wrong. You're interpreting it wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
How
Yeah,
you knew that
they
one, right?
say,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. Second hadith, which says, hadith again is the word of Prophet. They say Sahih Muslim 2167. Our guy said, now Prophet is saying, do not greet the Jews and the Christians before they greet you, and when you meet any one of them on the roads, force him to go to the narrowest part of it. That is again the statement of Prophet, who's considered the best man in the world, who's saying, do not greet to Jews and Christians. Again, Muslims might not know about this hadith, and they will say, they will greet to you, but we need to question the source of Islam, which is not peaceful. Now, Quran chapter 5, verse number 51, which says, believers means Muslims, do not take the Jews and the Christians for your friends. They are the friends of each other, and among you, he who take them for friends shall be regarded as one of them. Allah does not guide the wrongdoers. Now, what is the catch? In chapter 5, verse number 51, Allah is saying that do not make friendship with infidel, because he is not Muslim, who is Christian, whatever. Do not make friendship with Jews. If you bring this verse to Mormons, okay, they would say this verse is no longer in practice for this time, because they're living in the West. They have to work with them. They would say that verse was for that time. The question is, if that verse is for that Muhammad time, then what's this verse doing in the Quran now?
Yeah, I
If
want to add to. I want to
yes,
add just so people can relate. We hear the same exact things with the Christian community in the West. We hear a lot of, well, that's the Old Testament, and those rules don't count. God didn't. No, like you said, the God or the prophet, whichever it is, didn't know. They thought things were going to change. It doesn't make much sense to me.
yes. So now the last verse I'm going to share with you, that Quran chapter 98 verse 6, the translation of this verse. And can you imagine, you guys might be laughing that Muslims think this book is written by the creator of the universe, who made more than 200 billion galaxies, and each galaxy has more than 100 billion stars, and now he's writing that do not make friendship with someone. So that doesn't make any sense, except if you have a faith. Now chapter 98 verse 6, which says, indeed, those who disbelieved among the people of the scripture and the polytheists will be in the fire of hell, abiding eternally therein. Those are the words of creatures. So, my friends, here Allah is saying, who is not Muslim are the worst of creature. If you ask some Mormon who follow Islam, they would, what answer they have, because they claim this is the book of Allah. So when ex-Muslim, we bring those verses, what tool they use in West, he is Islamophobic. I'm not Islamophobic, you're not Islamophobic, we have a lot of good Muslim friends. We are not Islamophobic, we are questioning the violent ideology of Islam.
With
Okay.
every with
Yes.
however we question every religion, every belief, no matter what it is, we have to be able to, and I say this all the time, and you just keep hitting on it. We have to be able to separate the belief from the believer, the ideology from the human. And it's very difficult for a lot of people to do that, and I understand that. One thing that religions have done well is weave them together, so people, don't know the difference. Their identity is their religion. So we really need to focus on, and when I say we, I mean all of us, trying to get people to understand, including ourselves, everything should be questioned. And when these books are saying horrible, horrible things, it doesn't mean the person believes those things, but the religion or the origins of the religion, they do.
Yes. And now let's make it a little bit interesting. So I don't want you to be bored too much information I'm going to give you. Maybe it's a digestion thing too. Now, if I say, now let's see, I have 11 wives, and on one night, I went to every wife for sex. Okay. 11 wives. And if I say I'm 52 years old, I married a 6 years old little child, okay, and I consummated when she was 9. And remember, I am 52. If I say that I captured slave girls, I killed people in Banu Qurayza. Banu Qurayza it was the tribe where more than 700 Jews were killed, massacred at the time of Prophet with his permission, and women were made slaves. So if I say I am a guy who had sex slave, I am a person who was given the Maria Kiptia, it's the name of the concubine, was given me as
I'm
a
sorry, that
gift.
was the name of a concubine you said?
Yes, Maria. She was. I am the person. My name is Gulzar. I was given the woman as a gift from the Egyptian king. Okay, and I captured, owned, bought, and sold slave girl. And if I say that I am a liar, I am a I believe in ancient stories, I'm a gullible. If I say that I killed so many people, if I say that I brought the dogma, are you going to, or if I say that um, under Quran chapter 66 that I was having sex with my concubine in the bed of my wife Zainab, and concubine was different, and I was caught by my wife that I was having sex with my slave girl. Are you going to consider me the best man of this planet? I have a question, Dale.
Would I consider you the best man on the planet?
Yes, after telling all these qualities of my life.
Well, at first I thought you sounded somewhat like the Prophet Muhammad, but then toward the end, when you said that it was actually that you were sleeping with her, then you walked in and it was in your bed and your wife saw that, you sounded a little more like Drew Hill. Either way, and I'm not going to knock Cisco or any of them, I would consider that part negative. Yeah, I would not consider you the best person ever, and definitely wouldn't want to worship you.
Right, right.
Yeah.
That's a point. So if I
But
marry
that's me. I mean, a lot of people, I understand why over a billion do worship you.
Yes. So what happens if I marry six girl? I had a concubine, slaves. I killed so many people, and I'm considered the best man. So there can be two reasons. Either people do not know about me, number one possibility, or number two possibility, they do not believe what is told to them. So that's a challenge. So this is not me. That is the character of the prophet who is worshipped more than Allah in the world by more than 1 billion people. And the reason is that they do not really know the character of the Prophet Muhammad, or they are in the denial mode. Now, having said that, I'm going to say why I left Islam. So, some people read science and they leave religion. It is reverse to me. First, I left Islam, and then my interest grew in evolution, astrology, astronomy. These all
Yeah,
Science is
back up. This is recorded. I need everybody to hear that you said astrology.
my accent.
Yeah,
Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
yeah.
it's a different.
We're gonna correct that just because I'm here. Yeah, I
It's
don't
fine.
think you were gonna read our star signs. Yeah.
So now coming back to the other issues, when we read Quran, okay, and most of Muslims do not read Quran with translation. Okay. Now there is one verse which is chapter 78, verse number 33. The
Are you?
translation
I'm
is
sorry. I just wanted before you read it. Are you saying this is part of what got you to
Quran.
leave? Okay. No, but I'm
Quran.
saying, but you started saying that this was like when you were leaving the religion. Is this part
Yes,
of what
yes,
made you? Okay. Thank you.
yeah. So now when I read the Quran, I found the writing is written by some kind of woman sick person, because Quran has too much discussion about sex. Okay. Because Islam claims that they have every problem to the solution. I would say they have every problem to the sex, because Islam is only about discussing sex most of the times. I give you example. Chapter 78, verse number 33, Allah is saying that in heaven you will be given full bosomed maidens of equal age. Like, God is discussing the breast of the hoor in the heaven. That verse I don't consider can be written by the creator of the universe. One of the translation is full breasted women will be given, in the heaven. And we do know that what is the motivation of jihad, why 9/11 happened, a lot of incidents happened, because
Boobs.
they are
The
motivated.
same motivation for everything else. Boobs. You said it.
Yes, the women is the main motivation, not women in the world after death. Like, who 72 beautiful women will be given to jihadis. Okay, so now after this, I'm gonna share more information about dog. There is hadith that when you see the black dog, kill them. That is said by Prophet, and I know how much love we give to our dogs, right? They're like family members. So again, Muslims do not like dogs because of Prophet Muhammad. Okay, there is also hadith number. I would say it's hadith Jama Tirmizi, hadith
With
number
all
991.
with all of the nasty stuff in there, that dude had to do dogs wrong. Like, come on, man.
Now I'm gonna tell you one more thing, and then we will go another situation. That Quran has so much scientific problems. For example, they say that sky and the earth was combined, but you know that at the time of Big Bang, earth was not formed. So they make now mental gymnastic. Another thing they say in Quran, that moon does not have its own light, but Allah uses the word nur for moon, but also he uses the word nur for himself also. The question is that if they say that nur is for reflection of the light, how come that Allah also taking the light from someone? So there are so many scientific mistakes
I
also
want
in
to I
Quran.
want to just say what you said in case anybody missed it because that was funny. Basically, he uses the same word for himself. I didn't know this. That is used for the moon, and people are saying that the moon doesn't give off its own light; it reflects light, and that's what it means. But if it means that for the Prophet Muhammad, that means he's not the giver of light, right? Is that what you're?
Yes, yes, exactly.
Yeah. Whoops. Yeah.
Now, as far as scientific problem is concerned, there is a chapter 41 in Quran, verse number 11. They say, then he turned to the heavens and it was a smoke. So he said to it and the earth, come with willing obedience of uh, perverse, and they come willingly. Again, I'm giving you reference because it is recorded, so I'm not saying out of my own. I'm just reading what is written in Quran, that it's a scientific error. Another thing, the biggest error, I think it's a Bible error too. Chapter 41, verse number 9, translation say, do you refuse to believe in him who created the earth in 2 days and set up compares to him? Now, the funny part is that the clergies are very smart. They, when they see Arabic, in Arabic, the word is used earth, but and in Arabic, the word is used day. But in translation, in English translation, they use the word span of time, because we do know it's funny that how come that universe can be created in 2 days or 4 days. So in English, they are trying to do cheating by wrong translation. They use the word span of time. So you would see there are so many problems like this.
So
Now,
let me ask. I'm sorry. Let me
yeah,
ask you a question, Gulzar.
sure.
So what I think you've been saying like over these last few things is that because there are so many scientific errors when you were learning these things, what you were learning just wasn't matching up with everything in the Quran. Because we deal with the same stuff, with the Bible, where the more you learn, the more you have to jump through hoops, to make it coincide with what's in the Quran or with within the Bible. It just doesn't work with what we know with modern science.
Yes, you're right. Yes. And if you read scriptures of Islam in morality, that is the worst, because it allows sex slave, okay? It allows four wives. It allows wife beating. If you know, now I'm gonna come up the morality part.
Well, I
Now,
want to say,
what?
yeah, because we're hitting on the morality, because I do want to, because I want to
Yeah,
make sure we squeeze this in too. I do want to talk about the recent issues in Iran, and not just recent issues, but if we talk about the issues behind hijab, that we're seeing more of in the West now because of the recent thing that happened in Iran. You're mentioning the misogyny, and I just want to tie that in. So after you say a little bit about that, I guess if you could give your feelings on what's been happening, and what you think people in the West, we, for lack of a better phrase, can do to help with those things for the world.
yes. The problem is that the culture and religion. When someone comes to the West and she's wearing hijab, so we really like that hijab. We think, oh, it's a beautiful culture. But the depth is we don't know, because hijab is oppression given by Allah in Quran, that you have to cover your chest. But what happens, that hijab also comes from Sharia. So Lord, like Islam is like a chingum. You can chew in any way you can. You can play with the way you want to play. Everybody will have their own interpretation. So the question you're asking me, when we say hijab is so beautiful, it's a culture, but in depth, it's an oppression. Because when some girl is born and within 2, 3 years, the parents give her some kind of hijab, that is not the choice. So we do understand culture is different and oppression is different. So first thing you can understand, you can do that we don't have to appreciate everything coming from Islam. Many things are the token of oppression and brutality. Just like West does not allow four wives, because you do know that it's a oppression of the women. Similarly, hijab. So number one, what happened in Iran? Because you know that Iran is the country where so many atheists coming up, and I don't know if some girl is born in America will not wear hijab. If some girl is born in Pakistan, wear a hijab. So it's not the choice, it's by birth problem. And Muslim women wear hijab for three reasons. Okay. Number one, they want to please Allah. Okay. Allah does not exist. And why the hell that 10,000 years ago women people were walking naked? How come all of a sudden 1400 years ago Allah wants everybody to wear something? How come? Like for 3 million years, Homo sapiens and were most of the time were naked. Suddenly, Allah is so much worried about women dresses. So women wear hijab to please Allah. Allah doesn't exist.
To,
Second,
to, to, to be fair, according to the books, it wasn't for a couple million years. It was just for about 7 to 10,000.
yes, exactly, exactly. And second thing, that they wear hijab for protection, for because they are scared. So Islamic countries, there is so much frustration. Okay, women are not given opportunity to come forward. That's why it's a frustration. So they just need to protect themselves at midnight, because it's not as secure country because of legal problems. Third, women wear hijab because of their husband or brother. So hijab is not a choice. What happened in Iran? She was murdered, okay, and it she raised the voice, she murdered, but most of women are wearing
Okay.
hijab.
Hey,
Yes.
Gulzar, I'm sorry. Can you tell that story? Do you know the story with the police? Because I don't know if everybody here even knows the story.
Yes. So there is a morality police in Iran. Okay. One police,
I just want to say this because again, this is important. The morality police in Iran.
yes, one police which catch you for crimes, but that police is looking for if you are showing immoral behavior according to them, right? Because morality is subjective. So that lady was with her family, okay, and she was not wearing hijab according to requirement. So morality police came, and remember they are in civilian dress. Okay, look at the brutal government of Iran. Rather than they spend time and money for people's happiness, they spend money in morality police. So those caught her, okay, and brother tried to stop that, don't take her. They took her to the moral place where women are told how to behave in the public, like how to wear hijab. And there, when she was taken over there, and then she was killed, okay, by beating of the morality police. But later on, what happened when this news came in the public, they showed the video that she had a heart attack, but that was lie which was caught because she had lot of wounds in her head. So how come that somebody has a heart attack and will die of a heart will die with lot of wounds on her head?
Oh,
So
and there was, and just to
Gulzar,
tell it, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yes.
Gulzar, I have a question for you. So I'm listening and I'm taking all of this in as best as I can. I'm sure there are others like me that don't know as much. But Gulzar mentioned that lately there've been more of like a secular outcry in Iran. So I was just wondering why is that now, especially if they're facing morality police and whatnot? Like what's bringing about this change?
Okay, okay. You know that since revolution of Iran, Khomeini was the most powerful
Yeah, and
leader, and
just to let everybody know, we're talking about the 70s, right?
yes,
Okay.
and he brought the concept of Sharia. He overthrew the secular kind of person in the government, and then they started they brought the Sharia, and they started ruling the country with their stick and with their power and with their brutality. But what happens inside through the social media, and when they conducted the survey in Iran, I think more than 30-40% people were found to be atheists. So if you become a free thinker, you start raising your voice. So you can't stop people talking what they think when they become atheists, because you guys are no longer indoctrinated. That's happening in Iran, and people are coming on the streets. And after when Second World War started, I think because of just one murder, things just got rough. Similarly, things are already bad in the shape, and something was waiting for that, and that lady brought gave a more spark to the atheists that they came on the streets.
Goals are, and I can say for people here, it's kind of, and it's not the same, but it's like what happened with George Floyd, not that long ago in our country. It's not that it's the one time something happens or that that incident specifically was everything. It's just that people are fed up with so much that one incident might be enough to push people over the edge to start speaking up or to do something about something.
Yes. Last thing I'm going to share with you, most of religious scriptures are in the world, like Bible, like Bhagavad Gita, Ramayana. Problem with Quran, that the people who follow Quran take this book so seriously. So if you talk to any average Muslim, how educated they are, even their PhDs, they will believe hell or heaven. That's the biggest challenge. So women are most oppressed species if they're born in Islam. What happens that lots of Islamists show the good picture of Islam to the West, like Islam is so peaceful. But what happens to the women when they are born in Islam? I don't know. Somebody can speak that in West when I hear, oh, some woman became Muslim because she doesn't know about Islam. That's why they're impressed. Oh, how beautiful religion is. But it just like some like a hag, some kind of women, not women, I would say some kind of thing which you give lot of makeup, but inside there is a evil picture. So Islam is like a evil picture which is given lot of makeup. But I'm gonna show you the real picture of Islam from the Quran. Okay, chapter 24, verse 31. Women cannot walk freely because man will be ornery. This is the book of the creator of the universe who doesn't want women to walk with high heels. Chapter
That sounds like it was written by a Republican.
maybe. Now, these verses I'm going to share with you that Muslim women are the most oppressed and victim of Islam. Chapter 4, verse 34, husband can beat wife. Chapter 2, verse number 231, man has a right to divorce, women cannot divorce. Chapter 5, verse number 5, Muslim can marry Christian and Jewish women, but Muslim women cannot marry them. See how fair this system is for women. Another thing, chapter 4, verse number 11, women are given less portion of inheritance because they are considered low as compared to men. Women are like a field for sex, according to chapter 2, verse number 223. There is one hadith, you guys will be surprised, that Prophet Muhammad said, if husband wants to have sex with the wife and she is giving the birth at the camel, she has to stop the birth and satisfy the desire for the husband. That is the hadith, okay? I have a reference to, I will give you. Now,
Move over, baby. I'm
yes,
horny. Like
yes.
that's what I'm hearing. Like it's insane the stuff that's in those books, and people want us to think that those are the words of a benevolent creator.
Exactly. And chapter 2, verse number 282, women have a half witness. And I keep hearing Muslim women, they defend their half witness. They say because we are less intelligent. So look at the indoctrination, my friends, that women are told from their childhood, oh, you are less intelligent, and they start considering. That's why in Muslim world, more than 1 billion Muslims, only one person got the Nobel Prize in science, Dr. Abdul Salam, and that scientist was not able to enter Pakistan because he was Qadiani. He belonged to the sect which is prosecuted by the state. So only one person in Islamic world who win the Nobel Prize, and his graveyard was smashed and demolished by some mob mentality of Muslims.
Because, like you said, he didn't follow it properly, like you were saying early on.
Yeah, he was Ahmadi. Ahmadi is the most prosecuted in Pakistan. That is a sect of Islam. Okay. Now, Muslim man can have a sex with slave girl according to chapter 4, verse number 24. Muslim man can have a sex with slave girl and wife, chapter 23, verse number 5 and 6. And the last but not the least, chapter 33, verse number 50, Prophet Muhammad has been given the special discount to have sex with as many girls as he can according to Quran. I am talking from my heart, and you are so patient to listen to me because Christians have evolved because of secularism. But in Islamic countries and Islam, if somebody leave Islam, cannot show the face, cannot use the real name, because if they are an Islamic country, they can be hanged to the death because of leaving religion, and they can face the social boycott from their family. And in the West, if Muslims are coming, they need to respect the Western values to the women that they can walk free, they can marry free. But in Islam, women cannot marry without their master. So anyone who comes to West, they do not have to pollute or give the muddy thing of Islam into these great countries, which are, of course, better than Islam. So we need to raise the voice about Islamic violent ideology, which wants to conquer all over the world because it is written in Quran. Please retweet what I said, Wake Up West, so we can do something good for humanity. And again, thank you so much.
Thanks, Gulzar. And I do hear that passion in your voice. And, I know it's just such an insight for you to come here and share this journey with us. I did have a question, maybe more on a personal level. I know you mentioned that you grew up in Pakistan or you lived there for a little while. Now that you're no longer there, are you able to communicate with your family? Has it been difficult for you? How is your life now?
I did not tell my family that I left Islam and I have a YouTube channel because they will start making problems for me and for my wife also. So Islam is very violent ideology, and because Muslims are indoctrinated, so they have a fear that if somebody leave Islam, he will go to hell forever. So what happens? You cannot convince your family that you left Islam because like I'm giving you those verses. I cannot discuss these things with my family because they will not listen to me or they will make a problem for me.
Yeah, and that's a good question. I'm glad you asked that, Zaylen, because we need to hear that. It's not just that people can't say these things in their, countries they live in or to their Muslim friends. They can't say these things to their close friends and family sometimes for fear of, being ostracized or even worse, being reported. Like, Golzar said earlier about somebody who sent a WhatsApp message to a friend, and next thing you know, they're in jail and their life's in danger.
And there's one more thing. For example, because I was born in Muslim family, so I do understand w- how how worst situation is that. For example, if some husband comes to house, okay, they have a very nice family, they have children, and he tells his wife, I left Islam. According to Sharia, that wife cannot sleep with the husband because he is not halal for the wife. So most of people who leave Islam, even they cannot tell their wife or they cannot tell the husband because he will be haram. Okay. And if you know about halala, if you heard about, which if husband gives a divorce to wife, wife cannot marry again, according to Quran chapter 2, verse number 230 or
Yeah, just
232.
just a little more misogyny and subjugating
Yes.
women. Yeah. If we have two people who have requested so far. Big Science, you're up first. Is that okay, Golzar, that we take a couple questions?
Sure, 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 sure,
Okay.
sure.
Big Science, if you wanted to jump in, if you have something to share or a question or whatever.
First, a comment. This is difficult for me to listen to. I was raised in a very small town in Texas, and to speak out against religion, to put myself in the situation of fearing being put to death. I mean, there really aren't words for that. But I also just want to speak to the additional that we all understand, which is kind of what Dale was referring to, which is it does sometimes result in a social death. So it is sort of like death in a way because you can't really be genuine to who you are. And I'm going to say that I may not have feared death, but I grew up in the era of Matthew Shepard as a gay person in a very religious area. 40 years ago, it was a very different experience. And I believe at times I did literally fear death. And I don't want to take away from the extremity of the situation that people in other countries face. Believe me, I am highly cognizant of it. But I just wanted to address that because I think that that's what unites us. And so my question is actually this. in your perspective, something that I can't have, that most of us can't have, we can talk about the catalyst for change. What is it that makes our culture? What is the impetus for the change from being, superstitious and religious to being more secular? I sometimes that's going to be impossible. I'm wondering if you see like a bellwether, like is there markers that you think are indicative of that change rather than necessarily the things that cause it? Does that make sense?
What is the question exactly, Infidel? Because
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, Big Science. I'll try to relate this.
yeah,
Basically, they're asking what you think the markers are, like the signs, of a society. I think this is what we're saying, ready to change. That's on
Yes.
the cusp of, okay, now, like Zaylen said earlier about Iran. What are some signs you see of people who are somewhat oppressed or under religions that you can say, okay, this is what's pushing things forward. This is what's going to get us to move.
something is better than nothing, I would say. Like today we are talking, right? And we are sharing. We never thought even in a dream that I'll be telling you something about the problem with Islam. So something is good because of social media, number one. Number two, it is very deep problem. It's not only Islam. For example, if I tell you about Pakistan, Pakistan has got dictatorship through the military. And problem, Islam is basically a tool used by dictators. Islam can be used when they are incompetent to solve the problem. So it is what we can, for example, we are not that powerful that we can raise the voice against the governments or military. At least we can educate people about religion so they would understand. Because once you leave superstition behind, your mind start working like a rational person. Then you don't accept anything which is lie or which is out of logic. So it is good thing in Pakistan. What happens? Most of the time there is a dictatorship. They use Islam as a tool in order to do corruption. So, for example, in Pakistan scientific books, evolution is taught as a lie. They say this is evolution only for passing exam, but Allah created everything. So there are a lot of problems. It's not easy answer. Only answer that we can only talk as a layman person. Other countries like Saudi Arab, okay, they have a kingship, and Islam says there is no king, but still there is a king. For example, Muslims spend million and million of dollars in Hajj and Umrah in order to give money to kings, but kings, Saudi Arab does not give citizenship to Muslims. Now Muslims have a problem with America. They give citizenship to them and they give same life as they enjoy, better than their own countries. But when they go to Saudi Arab, they don't give a respect. So that's a education we need to provide them, that you need to know who's your friend or is your enemy.
It really is just all around education. And to back up what you said, and you really did, the core of what you hit on was these conversations, more people engaging like we are. Everybody that's here right now doing this is some sort of sign that people are sick of shit, and want to move forward. And activism, whatever you want to call it, Gulzar, you are an activist, whether you want to call it that or not, because somebody called me that once, and I said, no, not me, but when you're speaking up against things like this, on behalf of the people who can't speak up for themselves, you are an activist. And even if it's just these conversations, even if you're just joining us, for these, I think that's the sign, that things are moving forward. When we stop talking, that's when things are going to be moving forward.
Just quick comment that we need to understand the hypocrisy also. Those who enjoy secular life but does not appreciate secularism, and they always have a dream of Islamic Sharia. We need to raise the voice, and please, only one thing you can do, that there is no Islamophobia. There is no Islamophobia. Yes.
Hadrian, would you like to unmute your mic and ask your question?
Thank you, everyone. I had a question for Gulzar. Gulzar, I've been following you for quite some time and watched a couple of your streams. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but as much as I understood that you became an atheist after coming to the United States, right? So you left the religion after you were in America. Now, so now since I'm an ex-Muslim myself and I'm an immigrant as well, I just wanted your perspective on my theory. I've seen a lot of immigrants from Pakistan, India, and Bangladesh, Muslim immigrants who would come here, and what I observed was it was very difficult for them to integrate to the larger society in America or Canada. So, for example, and when I say integrate, I mean making new friends, having new social circles, expand, which allows them to expand their ceilings of their thoughts. And it was very difficult for them for many reasons. So what happened was they got scared of this new vast world in America, and because of that, they started to stick to what they know from their own home countries, which is Islam. And in that process, they became more and more religious. And also a fact that immigrants come here with a lot of expectations, as if America is a place where you just land and immediately become a millionaire, and we know that's not true. And there's a lot of hardships in America, and hardships that they may have not necessarily experienced back in their own home country. So when faced with new hardships, that also adds into their that also scares them, and then they start to become more religious because of that.
Like the Amish, it's like a Muslim Rumspringa. Like we have a little time in the Western world and go, whoa, whoa, this is a little too much for me.
I don't know about the Amish, but Gulzar is an immigrant himself, and he became an atheist after coming to the States.
Yeah,
So
it's a good question. Yeah.
I just wanted to know if Gulzar, if you faced those exact same things. So that was my question. Like, I just wanted your perspective on my theory.
When I came to USA, I was, I would say, I was Muslim atheist because I was scared of leaving Islam. That what happens, like a Pascal wager, if what happens if I die, if there is a paradise. So I was a confused person. And then, yes, I got close to Allah for some time. I was crying and praying that if you exist, please help me out because I was in deep trouble. I was in trouble from my ex-in-laws that they were offering prayers. They were so much in Islam, but on other hand, they did not have morality, because remember that Islam takes out your morality. You always think about Allah and Allah. So I was very much little bit close to Allah for helping, but I knew that there is nothing exists. So I became complete atheist. Second thing, that people come to West, either they become very much religious or they leave religion because here they enjoy better life, so they have a lot of time to go to mosque. And if you look at lots of ads, that lots of churches are being replaced by mosque. So that is a red flag in the future, because if another problem that when especially from Muslim countries people come, they do not want to, they don't want to be engaged with Westerners because they're scared, because they want to have control mechanism to their children. That's why they have a lot of arranged marriages. They don't want their daughters to date with white man or
Yeah,
black man because
more
yeah,
control. Yeah.
yeah,
We have one more question to
sure,
squeeze
sure.
in. So absolutely no one. And also, Hadrian, thanks for your question.
Thanks for a very interesting speech. I work in IT, work with people from all over the world, and I hear a lot of this stuff. For one, I just really appreciate too. Like I follow like a lot of the ex-Muslim groups because they're the most fierce critical thinkers, I think, and the most brave. Like ex-Muslims of North America. All right, so those are my two little off the side things there. There's a part of me that feels, say, when I was a Christian, if everyone but Christians ceased to be on the earth, Christian A would find a way to find a fault with Christian B, and they would just fight and kill amongst each other. John Calvin's a great example of this. He killed people that were very similar to him, that had just very slight theological disputes. Do you feel that way about the religion that you left? That say if tomorrow there was no one else on the earth other than that group, that they would find ways to fight within themselves for purity purposes?
Yes, it happens because as far as I understood your question, so Islamic history claims when Islam emerged 1400 years ago in Saudi Arabia, Khulafai Rashidin. They mean that there were four nominated from Prophet that they ruled Saudi Arabia. They think that was the best time. But out of four rulers, three rulers were killed. So that is a false claim that at the start of Prophet Muhammad, there was a lot of peace in Saudi Arabia. If it was peace, why come that three people were killed who were rulers? Number one. Number two, that two most holy personality in Islam, okay, Aisha, who was married 9 years old to Prophet Muhammad, he was 52, and Ali, who another nephew of the Prophet Muhammad, and they fought a war. How come that two religious personalities are fighting and Muslims respect both of them? So one of them should be wrong. So second answer to your question is that Pakistan and India got separate in 1947, that Muslims wanted Pakistan as Islamic country for peace. But in Pakistan, Muslims fight with each other, they kill each other. Shia kills Sunni, Sunni kills Shia, Ahmadi, Qadiani kills. So they're not in peace, even because the ideology of Islam is not peaceful. So you can never have peace within Islam.
Thank you, Gulzar. I just want to add, we could say the same thing in with Christianity. The evangelicals don't like the Catholics, and the Catholics don't like the Protestants, and whatever version of whichever, blah blah blah. It's just insane. But I do want to thank you a lot, Gulzar, for doing this because, like a few people said, we know it's different. Coming from Islam, being an ex-Muslim, and the things we're up against. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Thank you again, Gulzar. I think it's really important that we have these conversations, so I greatly appreciate you coming on and appreciate everybody, joining, asking questions, listening, just being a part. That's what it's about. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks all. Good night.